Warning, this video contains spoilers for the Wano arc of One Piece. You've been warned. Hey there guys, how have y'all been doing this summer? I haven't been drawing as much because I've been working, but I still definitely have a lot of ideas stored in my head. So, as you all are aware, One Piece is one of my favorite manga and anime series of all time. I got into One Piece probably around 2015, and since then, it's not only been my favorite anime franchise, it's probably been one of my biggest franchises in general that I love. So this week's episode is the long-awaited episode where Luffy turns 5th gear. Now, I've read a bit of the manga where Gear 5th was introduced, but I'm not too far ahead from the anime. Admittedly, I'm only like 3 chapters ahead of it, because I almost exclusively read the manga when I have the actual printed volumes, which I'm currently working on collecting. You can see my collection right here. I know, I kinda have a bit to get there. So, a little background. I've been into One Piece since around 2015, but I only caught up around summer of last year, 2022. Wano is the longest arc of the series yet, even longer than Dressrosa was, which had heavy pacing issues if you watched the anime, but it's definitely worth it. So Joy Boy was hinted to a while ago, right when the time skip began, around Fishman Island, probably 500 episodes ago if my memory serves me right. He was mentioned as this legendary figure who would end people's suffering and free the world, so to speak. Basically, it's kind of in his name, Joy Boy. He would kind of cause everyone to see him to become happy and laughing, hence the name Joy Boy. So, in this pretty long fight that's been drawn out over 60 episodes, in other words, Ruth Piece, I'm also a Dragon Ball fan, so I'm no stranger to long fights. Namely Goku vs. Frieza, which I think was about 30 episodes of, 15 to 30 episodes if I can remember correctly. Listen, it's been a while since I've watched the original Dragon Ball Z, so I don't remember how long Frieza vs. Goku was, but I do know that at the time it was like the longest fight in anime. But I think this outdid it. Luffy vs. Kato is like way longer. It started around episode 1015, sorry. Luffy has just been defeated in his 4th gear form, which debuted all the way back in Dressrosa, and in Whole Cake Island we saw him go Snake Man, which is like a bit of a modified version of it, kind of like, I guess, the Super Saiyan full control from Dragon Ball Z. It's been a while since I've watched Dragon Ball, so I need to memorize the forms again. So, just when all hope is lost and Kaito is about to carry forward with his plans to enslave all of Wano, Luffy's seemingly unconscious body has a heartbeat that starts to be likened to the drums of liberation by Zunisha, the elephant that had Zoe on its back, and it is Zunisha who recognizes it as the return of Joy Boy. Now Joy Boy, in other words Luffy at Gear 5th, gains all sorts of new abilities that we haven't seen him do. He's basically Toon Force incarnate. I was kind of thinking of the theme of Pegasus's Toon World deck from Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was watching the previews and reading the manga, which I'll play right now for you. In the preview and in the manga, I saw Luffy and Kaito, like Luffy was playing with Kaito like it was straight up Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry, kind of taking me back to early One Piece when it was less serious and a bit more fun in comparison to post-time skip. In fact, there was a rumor that Warner Brothers animators actually worked on this episode, which sadly it was debunked and confirmed not real, but that would have been fantastic. I loved watching Looney Tunes on Cartoon Network at 6 a.m. as a kid, so seeing them with that slapstick humor, the squash and stretch would have been great and nostalgic, honestly. I think that rumor actually started because an animator who worked on one of the more recent One Piece episodes also turned out to work on Space Jam and New Legacy as well as other Warner Brothers projects, so that's kind of where that rumor started. Literally at work before the episode came out, it felt like that 6-hour shift went by pretty quickly because all I could think about was Gear 5 and Joy Boy. I was just that excited about it. Now on to the episode. This is my reaction after watching it. For the record, I'm rewatching it as I'm writing my thoughts, so you're kind of hearing me kind of go word for word here. So before we start, we have a shortened intro. The opening song is still Paint, but it's just shortened down a bit compared to the past episodes that had it. This is to make room for ending credits because after almost 20 years, they're finally putting ending songs back in instead of one long intro. We pick up right where last episode left off with the start of Luffy's transformation into Gear 5. He starts jumping around, and not only is rubbery as usual, but so is the environment around him. The drums of liberation playing in the background really help make this scene both a moment of an epic hero and something pretty funny at the same time. We're taken to Marijois, where the 5 elders of the world government talk about trying to obtain the Gum Gum fruit. We continue to watch Luffy jump around. Everything was well animated and super smooth. Whoever was in charge of animating these shots really went hard, and it shows. Afterward, we see Orochi and Hiyori. Hiyori, angry with Orochi for executing Oden and causing people of Wano to die for no reason. But Orochi is trying to kind of like, in a cowardly move, lie his way out of it, saying he always believed in Oden to try and escape his death. However, this really only results in Kanjuro lighting Orochi on fire and probably killing him. Now we're back to Luffy, and he's finally coming for Kato with his Gear 5th form once he's discovered his peak. Now I have to talk about the effects that I think are meant to resemble his heartbeat. They're a color glowing and flashing on a dark background, and that's pretty well animated. Can we also not mention the Hanna-Barbera sound effects? Really helps make the Rubber Hose cartoons homage stick out, and I'll be honest, the first time I watched it, I was laughing pretty hard. So the next few minutes consist of Luffy beating the living crap out of Kato. And this whole sequence was excellently animated with Kato, and later Luffy's, eyes popping out from his skull like it's Looney Tunes, and the goofy-ass sound design really helped sell the scene. Never have I had this much fun watching One Piece. He really has the little bump on his head and star swirl while Luffy laughs his ass off. When Luffy deflects Kaido's Dragon Breath attack at him, Kato gets charged just like a cartoon character, even with the sound once again. The fight continues to progress, and we're left on the to be continued screen that One Piece is famous for. Now they finally added endings back to the show. The last time we saw this was back in Enies Lobby, which came out in 2006, so that was over 700 episodes and 17 years ago. This ending song is Raised by Chili Beans, and it's a great song, honestly. I love it. I can't play it here, well, because copyright reasons, but go give it a listen. I'm sure you'll like it. This ending sequence is animated pretty cleanly, and it's even done in a slightly thicker art style. It feels a bit more polished to the anime itself. The characters have thicker outlines. Honestly, for having and not having an ending in almost 17 years, they really made their absence, like, when it basically what I'm trying to say is when it came back, it felt like it was worth it to bring it back, you know? And that's really it for the episode. I haven't had that much fun watching One Piece in a long time. Maybe since I started watching all those years ago. Now, as for my opinions on the episode, I absolutely loved it. Of course, I've said countless times in this video that the animation was really good, and the sound design is something to be appreciated as well. The cartoony, goofy-ass sound effects really helped sell the ridiculous nature of Gear 5, and they were hilarious. I always love when anime and Western animation mix together. As you guys know, they're two vastly different types of animation, so it's neat to see them merge so smoothly like that. Yeah, there is some criticism on them reusing animation a few times, and I understand that. Anime production schedules were famously tight. They also had to do this with the Jiren fight on Dragon Ball Super 2. So it's not the first time Toei, or pretty much any anime company, has done something like this. There was also some pacing issue with Hiyori and Orochi's scene, which I think is valid, but it was also important for there to give us some room to breathe from Gear 5, which was the main point of the episode. They also picked a good episode for them to start doing the endings again. So it looks like episode 1071 is going to be noteworthy for 3 things: 5th gear, the outstanding animation, and starting the ending credits again. Honestly, I'm excited to see more 5th gear stuff. I can't wait to watch more episodes and possibly catch up to the manga. So that's really it for this video, guys. What did you think of Gear 5? Or if you haven't watched it yet, are you hyped? Leave your opinions down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more anime and art content. I also create my own indie anime series called Eventia that's inspired by One Piece, Dragon Ball, Naruto, and many others, so if you have some spare time, check that out as well, I'd appreciate it. But until then, I'll catch y'all later!